Alright, and then before you go much further in this, there's a couple things you should check just to make sure that you don't have play in other parts of the system that could affect your engagement and make it inconsistent. Okay, so we're going to put this new bendix in, and if there's problems with the engine or problems with this housing, with play in the components, then I'm kind of wasting my time. Then the engagement might be consistent, I might destroy my new parts. So let's just check a couple things. One of my concerns is this shaft that goes from the top here down to the bottom into this housing right here and up here. How much does it have any radial play? Does it have any sideways play? And then we'll check for axial play too. So I'm a little bit difficult here to check for radial play, although I can't feel any. It's a little bit difficult because I'm pushing on this return spring housing here. But as far as just moving it gently, I don't feel any big clunking inside there. We can reach in the top here and try to feel if there's any play, just trying to push it this way and this way, back and forth. I can feel a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, but I don't think it affects the engagement up here. And then what about axial play along here? Is there axial play? And actually we can shake it, and oh, it does clunk, so there is some movement there. Oh, but I left these washers out. Look at that. So these washers are supposed to go on the top right here, so that would probably solve that axial play that way. The other thing to check is if the crankshaft, or if their bottom end's been rebuilt recently, you might have this ring gear might end up in a different position. It might end up more inboard or more outboard if you've just rebuilt the bottom end. So if your starters, you've just rebuilt the bottom end, your starter's suddenly not working, that could be the case, I guess, from what people are saying on the forum. I think this was Neil's discussion. And so also, if you have axial play in the crankshaft, and I don't feel any in this, I'm pulling and pushing, but if the bearings are worn out and it went clunk, 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 that would be concerning because your engagement would be very inconsistent then. Sometimes the teeth would be barely touching maybe, or sometimes they'd be too tight, and so that could wreak havoc. My bro just rebuilt this bottom end before he sold me this bike, and it's nice and tight. And then I guess also radial play this way could also be the case, and I can't elicit any radial play. Okay, so I was just trying to find this washer here, and it actually stuck inside there. So make sure that when you take this apart that you're accounting for these every time you pull this apart and put it back together, because you don't want to drop down inside and disappear, and then you don't have that bearing surface, of course. Now, how this comes apart is these return spring cones, or whatever they are, push down, and this little piece that holds the return spring from flying off has a little round ring inside here. And thanks to Bob, he emailed me back and said, told me how to do this. I had taken a socket before and was pounding on it because I thought I just have to get this past that so that you can hold it down, pop the ring off, and then everything will slide off. I wasn't pounding hard enough, so I emailed him, and he emailed me right back and said, yeah, you just got to pound on it. And some obviously take a little more force than others, but so that's what we'll do to disassemble this. That feels like it's moving. Okay, it did. And then so here's this little ring, metal ring, and it does have a break in it. It probably won't show up on the camera, but it does have a little slot there. So we'll try to pry that off and get these parts off. So that's nice, tight fit, that'll hold that down. And I have no idea how I'm going to get that sucker off there. Okay, that sucker, that was a pain. I almost wish I just bought the $230 part and just got the new one. But here I am, got this off finally, and I only have 2 holes on my finger and 1 on my thumb. I got lucky, I think, compared to some, sounds like. So now we'll try to get this piece off here. Okay, so got the return spring cup off. Goes like that. That part, that part. Now, this is the bendix coming apart here. So on the new Honda part, I got to make sure that this piece indexes that piece. And here's the spring they talk about stretching right here. Okay, so let's pay attention to how these come out. So they have, there's 3 of them, looks like. They go over a slot. The slot goes right between those 2 pieces. So they go like that. And the flat part goes to the top, like that. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Okay. The spring is apparently what the culprit is. It needs to be stretched. We'll go over that in the next step.